here, plus a great many other people. No, the entire committee isn't here. Mrs. Petridis isn't here.
I'm on the phone.
Yes.
Oh, you are, okay.
I'm here.
Who else is on the phone then? I should know that because all I see is Ronnie.
Sorry about that. I'm trying to connect through to get into the Zoom, but I'm on the call for now.
Okay, well, thank you. So the entire committee plus our alternate is here. As far as approving the agenda goes, I would like a motion to remove item 6B, which is T-Val. That has not in the past been approved by or looked at by this committee before it goes on to the full board. We just got it yesterday, and yesterday was election day. Many of us were busy. And we could not do that justice at this meeting. Anyway, the whole board has already received it. Marissa just sent it out. And we'll be able to talk about that in 2 weeks at the full board. And at the same time, I would like to add a discussion item.
Do you need a
Brief
pen?
discussion
Okay.
item, brief discussion
Oh, this
item
one, okay.
about the implications to the school improvement committee of the vote yesterday. And I would like to add that before A, so let's add that as pre-A. English language doesn't really allow us to give negative letters, we have negative numbers, but not
Double
negative letters.
There you
Back
go.
up from the alphabet. Will someone make that motion?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Aye.
Thank you.
Yeah, me too.
Approval of minutes. A motion to approve the minutes that were included in the packet. Motion to approve in the packet.
So moved.
You have the motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Minutes have been approved. And now we move to pre-A. School Improvement Committee. You're in charge of community relations.
Public
Oh,
participation.
public participation. Yes.
Sorry.
Anyone from the public want to talk?
There's nobody on the.
Nobody on the line. Okay, that answers that. But thank you, Ellen, for being our conscience as always. Okay. Pre-A, the vote yesterday. We deal with community relations. There'll be a community relations aspect to this building committee. Now, the building committee should take care of its own publicity, but there may be things that we have, for instance, looking at new courses and so on, that we will maybe want to do more of a job of getting out to the public. Just because that's one of the reasons we got to school, was to facilitate the aspirational aspects of our pathways program. Does anyone think of anything else that we maybe should be talking about or doing, things that the coincidence of our job plus the school built beyond?
So I'd like us to start working on that possibility of opening that back entrance to the high school while we're looking at the design, because I think regardless of what the design is, that's gonna be something that we're gonna have to get through the red tape of determining how and if and when we can do that, even if it's just for entrance and dismissal.
Okay, and that's not a facilities issue? Well, we can deal with it here.
I think building,
Facilities.
right, and building committee, I think, is addressing that. I think Eric
Okay.
Royce, or I don't know how you say his last name,
Okay, so-
is maybe reporting on that. May even be this time, I'm not
Oh,
sure.
okay.
Okay, so Gary, something else you can think of?
Well, I mean, it does fall in this group. It may not be something that happens tomorrow, but last night, I think that I told Fiona that was really just the first step. And people say a new school doesn't make for a better education. It doesn't. And how do we, and Jen, you're the expert, I think, and beyond the superintendent. How do we start to look at how we grow the test scores? I know it's part of our plan, but how do we prepare everybody today moving forward so that we're prepared for the new school, so that we can make sure that we're ready for the new school and that we can continue to prove that it's not just a school, but we've taken a lot of steps in the last 2 years, but whether it's curriculum, like you talked about tag, or whether it's just, I don't know what the word would be, but requiring more of the younger kids and requiring whatever that may be, whether it's courses that might prepare them for the pathways themselves. I don't know how you do it, but how do we prepare for all that?
So we could share the strategic plans that are being created by each one of the schools, and
Oh,
within
okay.
those plans, it will also have the data information so that you'll see fall, winter, and spring scores, and that will track all of that. So we can bring that in, so that you're not totally overwhelmed. We can just bring one each time. The principals are working on that now. It's an ongoing document, but if we can bring those to SIC, I think that would help. And then you'll hear about the new courses, so you'll know what the fit is with the pathways as we're moving forward. And then just the data reports, obviously SBAC, SAT, but we also have STAR, we have DIBELS. We have a lot more information now that will help at the various levels so that you really can chart the progress.
The other thing too is, we're continuing to have these conversations with our community partners. In
Correct.
fact, people have reached out, honestly, today,
Yeah,
since the vote.
we were on
to
for
say,
some phone calls,
hey,
yeah.
So that's going to continue to enhance what we're trying to do with the pathways, with the development of that.
Did you see that FAME? I sent the FAME link. You got it, but I don't, it was this manufacturing program nationally that they're using for kids that in high school, instead of going to college, they can go into this high-tech manufacturing. I thought I included one of the two of you.
You
I know
probably
I
did,
included
though.
Michelle and maybe John, but it's a national program. And rather than the kids that don't want to go to college, they can go to an apprenticeship through this national manufacturers group that prepares them for really high-paying jobs. And it's almost like an internship,
Mhm.
but it's their education. It's for 2 years, and you're actually on the floor of the manufacturing firms. I'll resend that. But
And
I
yeah,
don't think Connecticut's pursued it. Michelle said she's going to look into it. I think 38 states. It was started by Toyota when they moved into the United States. How to make what they thought at the time U.S. manufacturing employees were not up to their standards.
Mhm.
And once they achieved what they wanted to achieve, they passed it along to this institute, which runs it.
so we're connecting, as Sue said, with our local businesses already. We met with Kathy Awad this afternoon, Robin, Andrew, Sue, and I, just to talk about internships and apprenticeships that would be available. These are paid internships for our high school students.
Hey, this is post-high
And
school.
this would, right, this would be for the allied health. There's also some funding for manufacturing. So she has her finger on the pulse of what's going on within our community. So it really does help so that the kids can actually have experiences within our town. So Sue can report out on those monthly and give you those updates as well in terms of the apprentice internships and the job shadowing that we talked about. So I think that's great because then you have an idea of what's available.
Yeah. And we've had conversations with an official from the Connecticut State Department of Labor about exactly what you're talking about, although it's during high school, not a post-high school experience, where, 11th and 12th graders could receive paid apprenticeships. So, all that is continuing. So yeah, we can share, we can give.
But I heard something different when Gary started to talk. I think you're going in the direction of new standards for a new school.
Correct.
Right.
How do you
And
get
the
there?
idea that if it's a 7-8 school, that's more a junior high school than a middle school. Middle school, maybe looking backwards at kids and their behavior and assumptions about what they need. Junior high school looking forward to what they're going to need to succeed at the high school level. So we never turn out students who aren't capable of doing top level high school standard work.
Correct.
Yeah, I see nodding, yeah, okay.
So
That's where I am on this.
So we're actually working on that too, and
Good.
Maureen is really in charge of all of that, right? I mean, and with Andrew Deacon too, working backwards to elementary, but and I don't want to speak for Maureen, but we're actually working really closely in bringing the high school counseling department and the middle school counseling department together, and I mean, we have meetings scheduled with those folks coming up to try to make sure that there are not gaps, and what can we do to reach, to make sure that our kids are poised. for that kind of success.
Okay, I wasn't thinking as much of counseling as I was of high academics.
Yeah.
Correct.
Right, but we are doing that, but we're starting with the counselors, and Andrew, we just talked about this today, so that, you know, we're looking at coursework, for example, because this year, some of our eighth graders are actually taking ninth grade level coursework at Torrington Middle
Good.
School, so we're having those conversations, yes.
The way it should be for the brighter kids, yeah. Kids who can handle it.
Right.
Okay, well, I'm about done with this item then, just to keep us moving along. But unless, and we could come back to it if there's time afterwards for the good of the order, someone can bring it up again. But let's move, because board goals might take us a few minutes. I received only one communication about board goals, and I made 10 copies at home, which is not going to be enough to go around this table. But maybe we can share and look around.
I think I'll make copies if we-
Please, that would.
I'll get them. Yeah.
In the meantime, we can take care of one side of the table with what I brought.
Maureen, would you mind just scanning them, please?
This will be coming back soon, but just so as not to waste time. Nikki got
Sue, we're
back to
gonna
me.
scan it so that you can get a copy.
Right, we'll need to do something to put it.
Right,
on
Maureen's
there.
doing that.
Out there to
Yes,
cite
yes.
it. No, okay.
Are you looking at the new course proposal document?
Yeah,
No, board goals, they're getting it to you right now. Sue. Oh, what about,
Okay.
honey?
I'm gonna put it in the screen later.
yeah. It's been photographed, it's going up on. Okay, and that is, and I have to wait. Maureen to come back with copies for them now.
Did you get it?
There we go.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, this one just came in today is why it couldn't be sent out. But it is pertinent to what we're supposed to be talking about.
On the way back.
Oh, right.
Oh, that's what she left out. You just tell her it's already scanned in.
So you running out there, make one copies of that one, please, because we will need them. Thank you. I ran off the old goals just in the belief that most of us don't have them at our fingertips, or remember them.
Thanks for thinking ahead, John.
Did this for a reason.
Yeah, just look at it.
Which document, just so all know which one to put on the screen, are we gonna go through first?
We're going to go, well, we should start, as long as we have them both, we'll start with the board goals, I guess, just to remind us where we are. Yeah, can I have enough? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, who needs this side of the table? I think.
No, it's a challenge. Okay.
Thank you. Did everybody get these?
Sometime, and it says 2019 on the top of this, these are the goals for, well, actually for the last school year. That was one of the things we did not do, but they were actually developed for the year before that and continued because we hadn't finished Why set new goals if you're still working, if the old goals are still pertinent and you're still working on them, why do that? And I'm not gonna read them to you because you can read, but number one, we handled by appointing one board member as a legislative liaison to all of our legislators. And legislature hasn't been in session since last March, so we haven't had the opportunity to have discussions about legislation. There hasn't been that kind of need. But as soon as they get up to their mischief, if they do this winter, well, we have our liaison in place. Communications and relations with the district and community. That's one that we actually have made a lot of progress on, thanks to people in this building.
I mean, maybe it's a question for either one of you, but I mentioned to Fiona last night, I was thinking about it, how well the PAC worked. And we had the word out about the school for 2 years, and we had our meetings and we posted on Facebook, but I know we can't form a PAC, but, PTOs seem to be, focused on their schools themselves. I think we need some other way, if whatever's legal, I said, to stay in front of, we beat one by 3,000 votes last night. We have momentum, and maybe the population is now understanding that the Board of Ed needs to be getting budget approvals for the next decade that meet the requirements and not going every year for cuts. So how can we increase the communication in the relationships similar to what we did with the PAC? Is there a way to do that?
You're suggesting that we form a quote, Friends of Torrington Public Schools or something like that?
Yeah,
I mean, for lack of a.
correct.
a real name.
However legal that would be, but I think we could find plenty of people. We found them for the school who want to fight for the next, 10 years.
Okay, we have, what was that? Friends of Torrington Education?
So,
So
They're moribund now, or they're out of existence.
Yeah, they're
Beyond
retired.
but take from the PAC what's left and, fold them into some sort of ongoing social media.
So could we delegate you to talk to
Oh, sure.
the group PAC and see what they think of that?
Absolutely.
Because we won't be setting board goals tonight.
Oh, no, I know.
We
I'm just vetting
This is the first
some ideas
and
here.
opening discussion. So if you can come back to the next meeting, having spoken with those people
Yeah.
about whether or not they'd like to do something like
Okay.
that, then we'll be able to set it as a goal if it sounds like something we could do.
Okay.
Put flesh on that and see what that could be.
It would be a big help, keeping education on top of mind.
And that would be a replacement, but an enhancement maybe of number
Enhancement.
2, right?
Right.
Yeah, okay. You've got a question?
Thank you. I do. Gary, what is it that you would be expecting the PAC group to do as kind of like a Friends of Torrington Public Schools or Torrington Board of Ed?
What
What is, I'm just,
what they did this time, which is better explain and better communicate, which would be bi-weekly or every other day or daily, what's really going on, the positive things.
within the school systems or the Board of Ed, or is it combining all of it?
I think it combines everything. Pushing for more money for education, more capital for improvements.
Mhm.
So whatever the board and the administration thinks is necessary to fulfill our goals.
To be communicated
I don't think
and to be communicated,
communicated.
or
Well, how many people have looked at the current Facebook page?
Yeah,
I think,
because
yeah.
that's not awful.
Yes.
I
No,
can
it's
tell
really
you-
good.
Okay, here we go.
I'm not saying it's not,
Statistics.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying outside, there's so much energy outside right now
Right.
of this group and, whether it's administration, whether it's those involved on a day-to-day basis. To take that energy and apply it ongoing rather than one project at a time. But if that explains it.
Okay, now I'm just thinking that we already have a Facebook. Part of their success was the way they use Facebook.
Right, exactly.
And, okay, so what
It's
do
a
you want to
social
say? You
media-
got
And
something there,
Instagram.
So
Ann.
this is
is
just
what
a
we're
little
talking about.
tidbit, but the Torrington Public Schools Facebook page had over 5,000 views of our last posting. So that's the kind of traction we're getting on social media.
What was
So
the topic of that?
one post, remember, do you guys remember?
I can look. I'll look, Sue.
Was it Today's.
Or is that what you're asking? Someone asked what post was it?
Yeah, would have been yesterday.
So it's
And
from.
yes, it was about the vote.
that would-
Yeah,
that makes sense.
yeah.
But I think the success has been, of the PAC, has been that it's so focused. So
So
they
focused.
had people really focusing in on giving information about budget and what's needed. I think people rally around that. I think
Correct.
that's been the success of the PAC, because they've really been able to say, okay, this is what we're doing, and you get that momentum.
We identified some really talented people.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Or they self-identified, obviously, but
Yep.
it'd be a shame to lose that.
Correct.
And then Cass, you know,
I mean, I think we just have to weigh this out, because being as closely involved, I mean, this was a 15, 20 hour a day item, 2 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
So for a short, a 4 to 6 week period of time is one thing, but I think that would be really difficult to keep up, ongoing. So I think we'd have to like marriage something in between, where it couldn't be like this every day, all the time. But providing updates on important information.
they might have some ideas about what they want. Gary talks to them, then
Well, think about budget. Budget's next. And how many people are tuning into our budget discussions?
Jess wanted to
Yeah,
say
I'm
something,
sorry.
though. I don't want to get too far ahead.
No, just Sue kind of said, you mentioned the idea of focus, and they were focused on something specific. And that I think would be a challenge, because they kind of had the authority to speak. They had the authority to speak authoritatively
Right.
about this specific topic that they were all spending a tremendous amount of time researching and understanding the details of. And they were spending all this time addressing all these little conversations on Facebook, which was extremely helpful. But to try to translate that to the entire school district and all of the different
It would be
issues
a
that could be,
full-time job.
would be incredibly difficult. And I don't know how you would do it with fidelity and with, without having some potential
Let's
pitfalls.
not negotiate against ourselves. If
Right.
Gary can get people to volunteer to do some real things,
There'll be some. And I'm not saying every issue. The budget's next. We're going to fight over the budget this year. Let them get ahead of it. So let them push for more money. Let them hit the public up with what we need coming up, that we need more supplies, we need more books, and rather than go to the budget with hat in hand, with, again, politics plays a part. And we have a lot of momentum. We typically don't have a lot of momentum going into budget. So use that momentum so that we can come out with what we expected, or at least near it, rather than have to give back. And if there's 3,000 votes now in the favor of the school, those 3,000 votes that might be behind us for budget can make a difference, especially with a couple elections coming up next year.
as long as we can do it without triggering public opposition at the same level.
Correct.
I think if you could target it, I think that would be.
It would be targeted. I
I
don't mean
think if
every
it was
issue.
too broad, it would just
No,
become
I
very
agree. I
challenging
agree.
for people to be able to convey things.
The most important thing.
Point 3,
Yeah.
monitor and support the compliance and implementation of the district strategic plan. District strategic plan. That's something we think we want to continue into the future. Monitor and support compliance and implementation district strategic plan. We're working on it.
Right, so we
Yeah.
update it every single year. This year, because it's COVID, we didn't do an admin retreat. We got all goofed up in terms of our timeline. So normally we update it in August, so we're a little behind, as with everything else. So we will be
Totally your
updating
fault.
it and then presenting it to SIC. And I think that will give you a nice broad overview before we get into the site plans.
Okay, so would that have any implications for goal setting? Yeah.
They talked about the individual school ones also. So, I think school improvement could look at those strategic plans by site and just report to the board rather than making it a board goal.
Okay,
Here's
so
my
can we
thoughts.
can this as a board goal?
Yeah, I
We
would like,
understand it's being done anyway, and we have a plan for the way we want to look at it, school by school. Okay.
I would prefer us to see have some kind of goal that talked about a joint strategic plan, especially relative to capital with the city.
With
not
the
necessarily
city.
just the
Okay,
school.
that's the direction we should move in, because that will be well received in City Hall for all the right reasons. Right?
Yeah, I mean, just on the bigger items that we need to have a plan together for a 5 or 10 years, especially relative to the building.
Want to put that in words for the next one of these meetings?
I mean, I don't know what everyone else thinks. I'm just thinking,
I think
we
it's a
talked
good
about
idea,
it, we
but-
talk about it, so let's
Yeah.
put it in writing and become more committed to getting it done this year.
Well, and I think that was one of Nikki's suggestions too, you know, similar.
Oh,
Right, yeah, that plays
Yeah.
into
Keeping the
what
public
Nikki
notice.
was suggesting.
Yeah, I think that's overlaps,
Okay.
which is good.
Monitor and support the implementation of the sister school model. K3, 4, 5. We kept this last year because we weren't convinced that it was thoroughly done, that there might be things that would come up that we'd want to keep in front of us. We need it now, or is it sort of a moot point? What was the way schools are being differently?
I think
run?
we're
Really close
moving
sisters
into a
at this
different
point.
level
Yeah.
now.
Okay,
so I think
put
we
an
could
X
let
through
that one
unless
go.
someone's gonna scream if you
Well,
want to
I'm only
scream. Go ahead.
not gonna scream, but, so now that we know we're getting a school.
Right, yeah.
I think we have to monitor and support the implementation of 4 through 6, going to the middle school, and 7 and 8 going up to the high school new facility. That's gonna be a lot of planning. So, we have
Okay,
3 years.
so monitor and support the implementation of a restructuring plan for grade levels in the Torrington Public Schools.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, you know how to attract lightning, don't you?
and the impact on the buildings.
Okay. You and I can talk about how that should be worded, or anyone who wants to input to that can just suggest the best possible wording for that. Has to be something we can measurable, and what's the rest of the phrase?
Time
Achievable,
bound.
measurable.
Right, reasonable.
We're all
Time
good, yeah,
bound.
right,
So that's 4 years of work now.
Yeah.
There you go. You'll never have to change that.
No, but I
Numbers.
think that's good, especially the timing of it,
Yeah.
right? Because
Yeah.
the sooner we start
Perfect.
communicating that,
Mhm.
right, the timeline of these things, people get more comfortable with it. Yeah.
Number 5, explore the feasibility of renovating Torrington High School.
Yeah.
Expanding its program.
We accomplished that, hold on. We know that.
Okay, so that actually morphs into a
Funny.
goal to just make the transition to the new school and the new pathways program and everything else that
Hmm.
hasn't been taken. Okay.
When it was just a dream.
Mhm.
Well, 2 years ago, this is
Yeah.
It was-
the
it
goal,
was, yeah.
right. Started 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago now. Okay, so, and to look at the suggestions that we got on the sheet that Nikki sent in, long-term capital plan, I think that's what we're talking about with the strategic plan to include capital and so on, right? So you can read what Nikki had to say, but the idea certainly is there. Gary, I think the next one has you all over it, doesn't it? Facilities,
Yeah.
sustainability and so on.
Correct.
Probably not so much a goal as just one of the
Well,
objectives of the.
If it gets into
committee.
teaching with the 21st century, that might,
I think that was supposed to be a separate section.
okay. Yeah, we
can
talked
talk about it at
facilities.
your meeting, and then
Correct.
if we need to kick some of it back here or someplace else, we can do that. We'll have a whole week to think about that and see what makes sense. Because some of that is
Mhm.
structure of the school system or staffing or whatever. Some of it is, so pull out the parts that have to do with your group, and then we'll look at the rest and see what we want to do. Community communication, that's, well, you took care of that at the beginning of this year.
No, she has the right idea.
Okay, done. Love it. Love it when we can get through things like this. And then there's a paragraph at the bottom about strategic plan, but that's already on our radar. Okay, Ronnie, you have anything to say? You're just sitting there with a cat sticking her tail in your ear there. Anything to say?
You muted?
I have one.
No,
Know how that is.
sorry. You were talking to me, right?
No, I'm talking to Ronnie.
Ronnie Dillon.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Been walking around on her table. and- We miss you, Ronnie. You're muted,
You're
Ronnie.
muted.
You're muted.
I do miss, no, I do miss you guys. And it's good to hear this. I like these goals. I want to hear more about it. This is, yesterday's vote made me feel so ecstatic that the other stressors, I can totally ignore them because I'm so happy. So thanks.
Well, that's good. Glad to hear that. You're gonna get a beautiful facility for drama in that building.
Yes.
Beautiful drama
Yes.
facility. Looking forward to seeing your productions in that building.
I can't wait. So thanks.
Okay, now someplace on this agenda, we have between A and B, alliance concerns, and I don't know if
It's
that
there. It made
John,
it
are we off of
should be
school?
lettered or,
Are we off of board goals?
unless you want to say something else.
Well, the only thing I'd like to see us incorporate somehow, and I'm not sure, maybe it would fall into the capital, but is enhancing school security. Because I think we know that that was a shortcoming, and I know
That's his job.
there's things work that, I know like John Barlow has some things in the works with that as far as applying for grants and whatnot, but I think that's an issue that we need to address. So I'm not sure if anybody agrees with
What would
me
a
or if
goal
there's
say?
somewhere
No, I
to,
agree with you.
What would a goal say? No, I agree it's important and we should do it.
I think it's facilities.
We could talk about that next month and see if facilities should take that, or if we want to set it as a, we already have enough topics for goals.
Mhm.
And it is a facility thing, but if you think about that and we can, I will put it on my sheet with the goals here. Gary, who's on your facility committee? I have that listed. Oh,
Armand, Nikki,
Nikki, you,
Ed.
and Ed.
Yeah.
Okay. So Jeff, maybe you could talk to any or all of those people too, if you want, and see. Because if there's room for it in the goals, we could, but we might not need to if facilities will be looking at it. I know it's important to Gary. You've been talking about
Yeah.
security too.
I give her credit for that.
yeah. Well, I know stuff
Gonna
gets
get
brought
done.
up sometimes, but then, so if you apply for a grant and you don't get the grant, then what happens? You know, and it's easy
Yeah.
for stuff to fall by the wayside, which is why we have buildings that are in drastic need of improvement in this area. So.
No doubt about that.
I think we can
Anything
make
else
it a
on goals?
priority.
Going once? Going twice? Alliance concerns without a letter, that's like A5 or something.
So that was,
Or was that
It
just
was-
something that should have
was
been
that part of? That was
Underneath
part of
board goals.
board, right, I thought it was part of.
part
Board
of
goals.
board goal?
So it's
Okay.
systemic focus areas.
Right.
Okay. Now, we have in the past the goal of getting out of the alliance system. We need to state that as a goal, or is it just such a feature of our thinking that we don't even need to say it? What about it? Discussion on that?
Well, I mean, our goal is to do the best we can in all of those different
Mhm.
areas that are being
Yeah.
charted, right? And whether we get off of it or not is not up to us, I don't think, so.
Right.
Okay, Fiona, is that what you were gonna say, or you gonna?
Yeah, I
I'm
agree.
sorry.
Plus, I think that unfortunately, the dollars associated with the alliance have enabled us to look at different practices, approaches, that I think are beneficial to us in the long term and future budgeting
Mhm.
of what things have worked, what things have not worked. Ultimately, we want to improve all these things, and then our test scores will get us off of the alliance. But in the meantime, I think we need to take advantage of the funding we're getting from Alliance and the return on investment we're getting from that money.
Yeah, this is no time when we're building a new school to do anything drastic about what might be a funding issue.
But we also have to keep in mind, like, what it's gonna look like without the alliance funding.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
the thing, I just wanted to say on the Alliance, that you continue to get the money as even when you're off, just like Bloomfield does, but they do still have to be accountable in terms of their reporting. So they still fill out a tracker. So you are correct. But they, they're still monitored because they're receiving government money. But you become, you're not one of the 33 lowest districts anymore.
Gotcha. But you still
Um,
receive the funding.
Correct.
Oh, that's cool.
So as long as whoever's the governor at the time continues to fund this. So you just have to be cognizant of that.
Yeah.
So, and we will report, we're getting ready to do our fall tracker, so we'll be reporting and giving updates on the Alliance as well. And that's 3 times a year.
But I'm sorry, but to Alan's point, what if, I don't know the answer to this, that's your expertise, but we don't want to be caught flat-footed either. 2
Sure.
years down the road, if
Right.
whoever the guy is.
Whoever the
wins,
governor is,
you know, I
right.
don't know how we plan for that, but, we don't want to lose everything we've gained either, so.
Fiona?
I mean, I think we are strategically a little bit planning for it, like when the
Mhm.
board backed and supported moving some of the recovery teachers into general budget. I think we have to keep looking at that. What's in Alliance? What should we consider funding in general budget? Doing a little bit at a time. I don't want to say trying new things, but once you move some of those things into general
Mhm.
budget, then we can look at what other things should we consider for Alliance
Like
that meet the
enhancing what we already
criteria.
have.
Enhancing it.
Yeah.
But I think if we don't continue to move positions, then we're gonna really be left holding the bag in a couple of years.
And still, the point is, we would be the best school system we can be in eventually.
Right.
Okay. We're all done with that. I'm moving on. Item C, new course proposals. We have 2. Sue, that's you?
Yeah, and I have Andrew and Robin are here too to share lead for this. So this is the first one in the packet. STEM. They're kind of both fall under STEM, but one is the robotics and one is the actual STEM course. There we go. Right, so the first one is the applied STEM, and this was submitted by Jared Shape. Andrew, can you tell the committee a little bit about what Jared's been doing? It's really cool.
Okay, well, he hasn't really created this so far, but his ideas are.
But even the thing he did in Vermont, it was going.
Oh,
to,
yeah.
Right, like,
Yep.
yeah.
So he's a science teacher that is converted over to a wood teacher. He's teaching now 3 wood classes and starting to get the bug to head over there full time, big time. And he really just believes in hands-on learning, but he doesn't believe in just hands-on learning, but using it to connect the science department with it. So doing a lot more with interdisciplinary. This one idea that he has that took off is creating a maple sugaring operation at the high school. And running it through a STEM class where you would use biology, you would use science, you would intertwine all the different classes in it, business to sell it, other classes, and that would be, it's a semester-long class in the second half of the year because that's when you would conduct it. So it would have to be done at that time. He would involve CNC laser engraving machines to help engrave bottles or whatever it is he's using. But he's done a nice job cleaning it up, getting it ready, bringing it up to modern standards, and getting the kids excited about different types of projects. Right now, he's making using lathes to make pens and kind of selling and taking a look and see how to get kids to make multiple pens and try to sell them and see how that goes. He knows he's not the strongest in the woods area, so he does get PD, does a lot more extra to learn about it every day. And safety is number 1 in there, and you'll see that on here as well.
Yeah, he's really enthusiastic about this. And when we think about the pathways, this could fall into obviously a STEM pathway, but it could also fall into a business pathway in terms of the entrepreneurship. And I mean, there's just so many, foods and nutrition. I mean, there's so many wonderful. I'm so excited. Yeah.
John, let's ask a
Yes,
question.
Gary.
Andrew, it's a serious question, will they be going out to tap the trees, or are they gonna just bring in the raw product?
I had the same question. Where are you gonna get the maple trees?
Well, they're out there, I
We
just.
have great ones, but they don't want to tap those. It's like they're worried about what would end up so.
I'm not like up in Mohawk,
Right.
up at the camping, got millions
He
of
said he
trees.
doesn't have any issue with, he said he has connection with a maple sugar that have extra sap, and actually it would just use, he doesn't have an issue with getting sap. I asked him that too.
No, I don't, think so. I just,
And the same thing.
It would be
And
cool- it would be cool if
brought
they
in.
could
Part of
tap
that would
Sap
be field
connection.
trips, trying to go and see how to do it. Sorry.
No, we're just giggling because SAP connections, I guess he has, that's really good.
Well, I can't tell you who they are, but yeah.
Don't give away your source.
Right.
I'd like to get him a little recognition too. He spent a lot of time this summer, really on his own time to come in and clean that up and set up new machines that they were awarded through the grant. And he went way above and beyond.
And this would last from February when the SAP starts running until,
Well, yeah,
January.
it would start before that, obviously, because the semester starts before that.
Yep.
What do you do in June? You shouldn't make-
so that's what we had talked about. Other options would be start creating the project, start figuring out how to sell. He has other wood projects that he would create with the maple wood being left over. He has, yeah, that's when the CNC machine would come into play. And the other hands-on projects that we start working on. Doesn't have that specifically set up here yet, but he knows that he's gonna have to do more. What kind of little project we bring him in, but also using all the other classes too.
And what would this course be offered instead of? If he's teaching a section, this would be one section?
This would be one, I mean, right now, one section, yeah.
Everyone's planned for one section,
Planned for one
which
section.
means he'd have to stop teaching one thing that he's teaching now. What would that be?
Depends on what their enrollment looks like, honestly. And what the enrollment looks like for it.
They
Could be-
signed up for this, they couldn't sign up for something else, and you're assuming what they wouldn't sign up for would be something that he would teach, is that what?
It would have to be, it would have to be.
Right.
Yeah. It would have to be a construction class. It could be a construction class, but we're trying to flow the classes so you can take one class, lead into another, into another. But it's then pick that, now he's only really 3 classes right now. So if we can end up moving him over to full-time over there and do 5, that would give us a lot more options. So that's one of the things that we're
Right.
looking at.
Eventually, that's what we would hope to be able to do.
Yeah,
I'm assuming you wouldn't want to take him away from biology unless you had the money to
we would.
fill that
Yeah.
slot.
Yeah. He's super passionate about the tech and the STEM and the.
So we teach less biology and more.
No, it wouldn't be less
Sugaring.
biology, but he would like to move himself more towards being a STEM teacher. And so this is long.
Well, that's why I said you
term.
can replace him with
Correct.
biology.
Yep.
Right, and we have a lot of teachers who have their cert in biology, so it makes it easier. So like Andrew was saying, based on the enrollments, you can start to shift.
We're. have a
So
lot
you
of
look at your
biology
master's schedule.
certifications. Well, that's why it's nice to move him over to
Biology is separate science certification, or,
It's biology, and then general science and chem.
so that would be, someone would be certified in all 3 of those.
You could be.
Could.
That'd be
That'd be
gold
nice,
gold mine
yeah.
if you have anybody.
You know, I know that the science certifications are pretty discreet.
So if you move someone, you moved him from biology, someone else is certified in biology, are you moving them from something else?
If they're, yes, it could be from.
So it could be like a domino effect,
Yeah.
but eventually it would, everyone would have a place
Yeah.
without hiring new.
Well,
It depends, yeah, depends on enrollment and.
It could be, right,
depends what we're looking
right,
for. Yeah.
okay.
But presumably, we wouldn't have to choose between AP chemistry and sugaring.
I hope
No.
not.
No,
No, but you're right. It's really-
Screwier things have happened in
No.
education.
No, it is,
Yeah.
no, that's what I mean, when I look at the schedule, that's exactly what we look at, where's it gonna fit? How would it fit in? That's the question we talked about initially, when we talked about a course proposal. One of the first things Robin always said, well, what are we gonna lose?
Right.
We gotta squeeze into
Right.
what we got.
Right, and we would never lose something like AP chemistry. I mean, that would be,
This is an
This is an
like an
elective.
enhancement and great
Right.
for our
Yeah.
pathways.
Do we level our classes in the sciences and technology?
No,
No.
no, you're talking about in the tech area?
Well, in tech, I'm not so much thinking tech, but
In sciences,
in
we
in
do,
science
sure.
we do, but in
Yes.
tech we don't.
Correct.
Okay,
Correct.
yeah, that makes sense. Questions, Gary?
No, I was asking for an explanation of leveling class.
so we have
She told me.
different levels of classes, like general, college, prep, honors, yes.
Am I missing in here? Does it say how many students would be able to take this?
16
16.
for a semester. You might be able to go more depending on what, but right now 16 is generally the limit in those classes.
But I figured those were small, that's a smaller limit.
Yeah, well,
So,
with the visuals of saws and
right, as it should be.
everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
safety
Try to limit
issues.
it.
Right, yeah. But that's when we start talking about what do you take away from to
Yeah.
give this.
Mhm.
You may not lose a course offering, but those kids you might have larger sections of another course because this is smaller and this accommodates fewer students.
What's our largest section of biology now?
26 or 25.
25. What's our largest section of woodshop?
16
Probably
can be the
16,
max.
Yeah.
Fewer
Max of
Yeah.
6.
So they don't cut their fingers and thumbs off.
Right.
That's the goal.
Well, no, and.
It can happen.
Oh, yeah.
Questions, anyone? Any more questions, more to talk about here?
I just have one.
Yeah, no, please.
Just a consideration down the road, as you get into these classes like woods and mechanical design, I think you're gonna need to look at a blueprint reading class as a preliminary.
We have a CAD class.
Okay,
And
and we still have the CAD, okay.
we do have CAD.
Oh, okay.
And actually, that's kind
So
of.
they can read the drawings, so they can build it.
Well, actually, what is next is, the teacher for that is next for the next one. If you want to go there.
Well, let's do that then.
Yeah.
Gary's
Good
got that
segue.
into that.
Yes.
Thank
Yeah.
you, Gary.
Well, I didn't read it, but-
Yeah.
So the next one is the intro, or is okay, but
Yeah, go ahead. It's the robotics. Greta. Yeah.
that's this is a first tech challenge exploring robotics and coding. And so this is how we are combining robotics, coding, engineering. This does not have the CAD in it, but she also teaches CAD, and she's moving it to a direction of where it's, you start off with Google Sketch and move into CAD and you work your way up, but also creating a design of a more mechanical CAD than it is blueprint.
Right. Same.
But it is, and you're learning how to read it, but it's, she has 3D printers that were just brought in, and she can now create the objects that she makes on there and have the kids do it. So not just making one, they're making it themselves. This specifically is a project that she is, never met Loretta, but she's extremely passionate.
Yeah.
She is all over everything she believes in. She will fight for it. She's gonna pass out. And she is outstanding. So she has class tonight, actually. So that's why she. But, so she is. So First Robotics is a competitive program, and Perkins cannot pay for competitive programs, but it can pay for engineering classes. So that's kind of how we can get Perkins to help out with this class, but not pay for the competition fund. Last year, she raised all the money herself to get to the competition herself, which was, and find a mentor and create the first robotics team ever. Well, I a while, at least at point in high school. And bring them there. They didn't, they did okay. They finished not last.
It was their first year.
They
Yeah.
did. It was only their first year. They'd never
Yeah.
even been there before.
Where'd they go?
The robot they made was amazing.
She actually, you might remember, the board approved several of those field trips that she had planned, and one of them
Yeah.
was like out in Michigan or
Yeah.
something.
She
had
was
it all
planning for
mapped out,
nationals. I mean,
right.
right from the big, right from
And
the
then
beginning.
COVID hit, and yeah.
Yeah, and she was fundraising. I mean, we had people looking at, she had somebody almost giving her $15,000 for this. She had Apple
Great.
grants, she had talking to Apple employees, talking to Cisco employees who have automatic grants for $5,000 to $10,000. So she is on it, and this is going to be a success. She will not allow it to be, and she already has a hook with kids in there that want to go to do this. It's a matter of, last time, the issue was the hours that you have to put in are after school. So it would be, the building session is about 6 weeks long. We have to do 8 hours on Saturdays. They'd be up there at night we had to talk to the custodians from, I think it was from 5 to 8, 4 nights a week. And she would be there for almost all of it. And along with the mentor that she got. So now there's still a mentor that can help them out, but it's during the class time now. So we can really get a good group of kids in here. And it's connecting the coding. So they learn how to code with the robot. It's all electronics. They build it from scratch. There's a set curriculum that comes with it. They have to follow it within guidelines and go that route. It's really, I don't understand it, but it's really neat.
Would this replace anything? Or what would we
Well, this
expect
would,
it to
this
draw
could replace
kids
a
from?
drones class. We have a couple, we have a 3 drones class running right now. So this could replace a 1
Three
drone,
sections.
one section of drones class, it's the same number.
Mhm.
Which is, this is a very high level.
Ellen?
class.
Are both of these courses just offered to certain grade levels or?
Well, what we've done in the past with these that we know are gonna be very popular, right, is we've tried to offer them to our older students first so that they have an opportunity. Because these, I mean, these are so appealing, they're so project-based and hands-on.
The robotics one, she does want to offer to everybody. The 9 through 12, it's kind of like a club as well. So you want to build up.
Oh, right.
Make sure you have people there.
Right.
So it's something she does want to build. So she wants to find freshmen, but the freshmen are qualified.
Right.
Yeah, you're right.
Mhm.
Yes, for the other ones.
Fiona?
Has she reached out to Whitman, the robotic
Yep.
company in town?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, she has actually. She's reached out to everybody in town. A lot of them, a lot of manufacturers reached out to Brooker Memorial. They came in, interviewed, talked to them. And, I think they just wanted to see what she was going to do first to see if anything was actually going to happen.
Yeah.
And she asked them for $65,000.
Rory Canty's husband works there and they've been posting about wanting to help with the partnership.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, I'll let her know. I
yeah.
know she did reach out to
Dave
them last time,
Canty,
so we
yeah.
gave her the name initially,
Yep.
and I'm sure she did. But
Oh,
I'll tell her again.
Jess, you had your hand.
I did, yeah. So you mentioned Perkins grant. It doesn't specifically say on here how all of these instructional materials are going to be funded. Is that the expectation that this would all fall under the grant, or is there something additional?
There would be additional. She would know that it would not be coming from a budget. It would be grant based, and she would have to raise a lot of money right now.
So she would be
As far as-
expected to raise money for curricular things for a
No, that would come out of Perkins. Anything that's not consumable would
Okay.
come out of Perkins. Anything that is consumable and has to be used, that's not an upgradable or improvement, would have to come out of a budget. And she has a budget now, so she would use her current budget,
Right.
some of that for this stuff.
And we are applying for a $200,000 grant, and it can only go to the high school, and it is geared toward technology, so we are thinking that Ally and I were just talking about that before we came into this meeting, and we're meeting tomorrow with Sue, just to kind of talk about that, and Donna, about that grant, so there is funding available.
I won't tell her until you.
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
Don't tell her yet.
Okay, other questions or discussion points on this? We don't really approve these courses, but we do provide the forum to discuss them and pass them on to the board, having asked questions. Save time around. Yes.
One thing just in general related to course proposals is you mentioned robotics or drones, and those were a couple things. And I think I've asked this in the past, and in all honesty, I can't remember if you answered this question or not. So if you have, forgive me, but I'm going to ask again. I think it would be really helpful for us to receive information on the courses that have been proposed, how they're going. Are they running? How many students are impacted? What was the impact to the rest of the schedule? And just so because we kind of see things come through and everything sounds super, but we don't necessarily know, did kids end up signing up for this?
We
Did
make
it end
guesses
up?
about the impact. and-
Yeah, we always ask those same questions, and it would be great to have a follow-up with maybe like all the things we've approved in the last 2 years, because I feel like there's been a lot.
Yeah.
And just my other comment would be that I think it's great that you guys are bringing forward course proposals that directly correlate to the pathways. I think that makes a lot of sense, and that will help us get the ball rolling in that direction.
Okay, that's it for new course proposals, going once. Going twice.
Those two, couldn't tell if they had their hand up or.
Anyone in Cyberland? All set? Okay.
Sorry, I better run to us.
Thank you,
Thank
Andrew.
you. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew.
Snow days and, website, social media updates. So do you have anything besides what you mentioned?
Just
earlier?
one quick thing, one of the school counselors, one of the guidance counselors at the high school, Barb Beatty, is looking into having student interns called SLID some of our social media through a grant program where the kids would actually receive stipends. So that's something that she's looking into right now. It's provided by an organization called Building Healthier Communities. So that's just a sort of an FYI. But Maureen is here tonight to just show you a quick little clip of something that we've been working on.
Quick.
It's going to be quick.
Oh,
And
very
it's-
quick.
And it's a social media, it's a website update, just that we thought you'd be interested in. So Ally's gonna.
So, yeah, Ally's bringing it up. So Andrew Marchand and I have been working together, and yesterday, actually, we met with our school counseling departments 6 through 12. But we've been working, and so this is kind of the fruit of the school counselors' labor, that they've created this new website where they're going to be communicating with parents, families, students, other stakeholders in the community. But Ally, if you wanted to go through a couple of the tabs just so people can see part of what's happening on the site.
Which one?
Maybe the senior tab. So when you scroll down, you can see there's a checklist of things that seniors should be doing. It's kind of a, I know it's hard to see.
It's an eye test.
Yeah. And also a calendar of events. So what we're trying to do is provide a one-stop shop for students and their families. What kids should be doing to get ready for their post-secondary experience, what things are happening in the school. And eventually what we want to do is kind of align and be transparent about what's happening in advisory so that students know what to expect. So if we're running study skills acquisition in advisory class, we'll do that right before midterms or finals, those types of things. But we just wanted to give you a view of some of the work that's been happening at the high school and what the school counselors were able to put together.
And as Maureen said, the conversation's happening with 7th and 8th grade too, so we're really starting to establish that culture, 7 to 12.
Possibly related topic, what's that thing on cable channel 21 from the Torrington Public Schools?
22.
22, right, because it replaces New York Public TV, that's right.
Right.
Yeah.
So that is something I've been working on for a couple of months. And I was trying to see if we were able to persuade Altees to allow us to have a cable TV channel. And after many discussions, they said yes. So we now have access to channel 22 every morning from 5 a.m. to 10 a.m. and every afternoon from 3 p.m. to 10 p.m. We'll be able to use that channel to create videos and other kind of highlights within the school district and broadcast them on public television.
That's awesome.
Okay, yeah,
Wow.
it's not always easy to read, however, the way it's
Right.
displayed.
So here's what's happening, and that's why I really haven't fully advertised it yet. I'm on Altees a little bit to up the quality.
Good.
All we can get is a standard definition channel, which is not a problem because PBS is also sharing the same channel in standard definition. However, the equipment that we have at the high school that's provided by Altees is about 20 years old. So what happens is we start with a fully digital system. We convert it down to analog. It gets over to Altees in Litchfield, channel 5. They bring it back up to digital, and that conversion happens like 4 times back to back. So the quality is just horrendous. So I'm working with them to get us an all digital feed. But
Okay, keep going, because I have a question for you after this.
I'm sorry.
No, keep going. I have a question though
Sure.
when you're done.
So, but at the same time, since we have 22 only a couple of hours a day, well, the nice thing is having it in the morning, we'll be able to broadcast delays and any kind of ticker tape announcements. But there's also a simulcast on the web, which we will put up on the website that mirrors that same channel, but in high definition. It will also be available on Roku.
Oh.
So it's work in progress.
No, but certainly with a goal, I mean, if things work, it could be marvelous.
Absolutely.
My question is, at what point will we be able to broadcast Board of Education meetings?
Right this very second, if you so choose.
Well, because you said we have it 3 to 10
Yes.
every day?
No, it is possible at any point in time. the connections there.
Okay.
I demand union scale.
I was gonna say that same thing.
Oh.
I mean, just as recently as
Yeah.
yesterday,
Yeah.
somebody asked me, didn't you guys used to broadcast your
Yeah.
meetings? Why don't you do that
Oh,
anymore?
funny.
And so I think that would be great.
Yeah,
People
it's,
watched it.
it's possible.
I mean, we were on, and if it could be in high anything other than the quality that we had, the quality we had before worked,
Right.
but people demand
So
more
on
now.
22, it'll be in standard definition. However, on Roku and on the web, it'll, it's in high definition.
We also have, and you may have seen this already, I can send the links to the board members. We also have a video that was made of the high school as a virtual tour for our middle school students to be introduced to everything that the high school has to offer.
Yeah, Luke
We
Pepper,
Right.
worked on it with Barb and a few others, and it really came out, it's so well done, it's so professionally done, and the kids that were interviewed were just amazing. So I don't, it's just a couple of minutes, or no, it's about 5 minutes, I think.
We have made incredible progress in using digital reach out, and thanks to the people in this room and Donna and maybe other
Yeah.
people I'm not thinking of at this time, but the last couple of years have just really brought us along. Jess?
Just, and maybe you guys have already thought of this, but that's actually quite a bit of time to fill. And it would be neat to maybe show recordings of some of the dramas that the kids have done, like the plays. You could even use it to show sporting events.
So that's another thing I've been actually playing with. You may have caught a couple of pieces of the volleyball games and also some of the soccer games on 22. I've been rebroadcasting them. There are still some glitches to be worked out, but moving forward, any sporting event that we have is going to be broadcast live.
That's great.
Yeah. And that should help the cable people too. Once people catch on that they can watch on cable, that might.
Well, that was my selling point for them to get it
Yeah.
connected.
Certainly will. Okay, Fiona and then Ellen.
Right.
No,
And
Ronnie.
then- Oh, Ronnie, you're up. Oh, go ahead.
She's
Ronnie.
on the committee, let her go
Yeah,
first.
go.
I just had a question. Would this ever be able to be used for like a journalism class for kids reporting to make stories if they did it for a project or a community event and have the kids report?
Allie is nodding her head.
Yeah. No, lots of airtime there that we need to fill. And
Absolutely.
Better to fill it with new
Anything,
material than repeat material.
I was also talking to Greta and Luke as part of their own classes and see, what kind of material they can give me to put up on the air, because we can schedule events and play them back. At the same time, we have TV studios at the high school and the middle school for the daily, their morning announcements, and those are all these kind of things that we'll be able to broadcast live and or on demand.
Imagine having our subcommittee meetings broadcast, the excitement that would generate.
Around the world.
Okay, around
Yeah,
the table,
dare to
Fiona,
dream.
you want to say something, then Gary, then Jen?
I mean, I
Almost
just think this
I'm
is
good.
great because we've been looking for a way to connect our community into schools. And I don't know what's better than broadcasting our holiday concerts at the schools and, band events and different things so people can see what's actually going on and being produced out of our buildings will be huge. And I don't know where you've been all my whole life on the Board of Ed, Ally, but thank you so much. Really.
Gary,
Amazing.
No,
you want to say something?
No, I'm not.
Jess, you?
No, I'm also.
Alan?
Just,
Yeah.
wow,
Great.
thanks.
It's wonderful.
Isn't
Thank
it?
you, Ally.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
There's a lot of potential there, a lot of okay, now the last topic. Snow days versus distance learning days. We broke this ice, so to speak, at the last, the board meeting, I guess.
Yep.
And then we said we'd bring it up again here, just to give people the chance to continue the discussion. So let's open it up.
I just want to do a frame of reference if I might, because Jessica asked a good question at the last meeting, and she said, so do we have to feed our students if we go distance days? And so in addendum 13, yes, you have to feed your students. I just talked to Becky about it, and she said, if you go distance, you have to feed them. However, the state in its wisdom, most recently as this afternoon, also sent out something else that kind of muddies those waters just a little bit, because They're worried about the people who have to feed the students. And those unions have come forward, or those groups have come forward and said, we don't want to have to be out there when no one else is out there. So now it's a little muddy, but right now on the calendar, just to frame the whole discussion, we have 5 snow days in there. My feeling is if we have a distance day in addendum 13, if we follow the letter of the law, so to speak, we'd have to feed our students, muddy as they may make it.
No, but if we call it a snow day, we don't
We
have.
do
to.
not.
Okay, but a distance learning day we do, and so people would drive to the school through snow, ice, sleet, whatever else.
And that was the problem.
I mean,
And
bad
so
enough
they were
our people
saying,
would have to go into work. to
right,
do
which
that,
is
but-
just absolutely insane, right? Or they've said, if you know early enough, go ahead and call it. But if I know early enough and it's that bad of a storm, I'm really thinking there may be power outages and there's
Right.
all kinds of other problems. So why would I endanger anyone by saying, get out there and go do this, instead of just saying, okay, we have a snow day, everybody stay home and be safe.
Can't imagine the town or the state with the plow trucks out there, and the police wanting to put more traffic because people
Yeah.
will drive out to get meals for their kids if it's free.
Correct. Right, and because there may be a need. Certainly, if we have that need, we can, try and plan as much as possible beforehand, the day before. However, if we follow our normal snow call, which is usually at 4:30 in the morning, then folks know, and then we make up that day, so we do not have to provide the meals on that day.
Okay, now we can get into
Sorry.
snow days. Yes, Gary.
I forgot it was on tonight. I truly did. But
So
to
excited.
clear
It
up,
won't
what-
stop you, will it?
no, to clear up what I started saying last year, or last week, I should say. As a board member, I don't see any reason to even consider if it's not what's best for the children and their education. I just don't see why we would consider it if it's not what's best for the children. And until we know that distance learning might be a better alternative, other than not wanting to extend this, the school year, which doesn't hurt the children, I don't see a reason to consider it. Again, we're trying so hard to give the kids more. And until we know the distance, I don't think anybody would argue that distance learning is better for the majority of the children.
That's next month. We have a whole discussion on that.
But that's just my take on it. It wasn't necessarily the snow days, although I think Leone, somebody had it in the paper about, was it Leone?
Yeah,
Yeah.
his
About snow days and
memories with
Memories,
his
but, I
children.
mean, that's just
and
part of it, but
enjoying them.
we've taken away all the kids' memories as it is, so. But I don't, unless it's what's best for the kids, I don't agree with it, but I'm just one person.
Further discussion? Questions? Jeff?
Like, if we were in a regular year, I think I would feel more warm towards the idea. But just this, with the limited amount of interaction we have with our students already this year, and the difficulty we have engaging many of our students already this year, I think to choose to have more days like that, I don't think it's gonna help anybody. Like Gary said, I don't think that's what's best for them. It would probably in some ways be more convenient, but I also think it's gonna complicate other aspects of things. So I would say once we're back to normal school, let's look at it again. I wouldn't want to do it right now personally.
Further discussion? Going once.
I think there's something to be said for the orange in the toilet, the spoon under your pillow. You're so excited with the snow days. I think it's a good added break for the parents too, to be able to spend unexpected time with their kids. I think if we have a really bad winter and we're like way in excess of 5, maybe we should relook at it. But
Yeah, I agree. And you
for
certainly
the
could.
first 5, let them enjoy them.
Basically the same things that we said last time when we talked about this in the board are showing up again. Okay, anyone else? Once? Okay, we are pretty much done and not that far off time of the agenda. Comments for the good of the order? So soon?
No,
Maureen?
Oh, so thanks.
Oh,
Kim,
I'm good.
thank you for coming and sitting through this meeting.
No, that's okay.
It's a good sport.
I'm good. I actually like hearing all of this, so it's helpful in my.
Ally?
I'm good, thank you.
David?
No, thank
No? Fiona?
I'm good.
Oh, I'm sorry, you have Ronnie. Sue?
Sorry. That's okay.
I'm not used to monitoring the screen.
And then how we put teachers through.
Yeah, oh no, I'm
Right.
very sympathetic for the kids and the teachers. Fiona?
Just, I think all of the things we're talking about is so exciting. I have the new school and the new courses, and I just feel so positive about where we're going, and maybe I'm crazy, but I just feel like really energized that this is all worth it, and we're really moving in a really great direction for the kids and the town, so I'm really happy tonight.
One of the other great things about last night, besides the win, was my daughter and 18 friends actually signed up to send in their ballots from college and vote. But they voted for everything, but everything, including this, but otherwise they wouldn't have voted. And
A lot of kids did that.
a lot of kids, yeah, I know, lots
Really
of kids.
great.
did.
Yep, so nice.
Wonderful.
They just got going.
Yeah.
So.
Jess?
Just to thank the community for their support yesterday in the vote, and that a lot of that's not necessarily a school improvement thing, but we're going to be talking about a lot of things because of that now that are going to help us improve our schools. So thank you.
Robin?
After, if you have a few minutes, Ally has the video loaded because it ties in so nicely to what this is. So maybe you have a few minutes to watch it.
Between meetings, we could do
Yeah,
it between meetings.
It's really great.
But I can't speak for Ellen, she wants to.
I don't
do it.
mind starting late, I'm used to it.
That's like a dig on John. John
I
prides
know,
himself in
there's-
punctuality.
No, there's a lot to be
This was a
discussed
full
in your
agenda.
meeting, really, really, there is.
Yeah, we took one off, yeah.
The only
Ellen,
thing I
good to
want
be
to
out?
add is,
Ellen, good of the order?
thank you, Ally, man. This is,
Yeah, there's a
So-
lot going on, and it's all
yeah,
good.
really.
Kathy?
I'm good, thanks. I think everybody said it.
Well, and I would just add to what Fiona said about how exciting it is and how we're poised to, and I would add that we are certainly, we have the right people to do it. We have the right people in this building, and we have the right people on the board, and we have the right people in administration in the buildings to really do it right now. So
Work together.
Timing is perfect, yes, exactly so. Topic for future meetings, we have distance learning and social promotion. Anyone else, anything else? Aside from our usual goals, we'll have to finish talking about goals. I will get something out to the committee and anyone else who requests it, Gary, Ellen, anyone else who requests, if you're gonna come to the meeting, you might as well have those things for you. Anything else? Goals, social promotion, distance learning, that's enough? New courses?
Maybe.
Maybe. I am looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're done.
Aye.
What is it?